Welcome back to HabitWise. In our last video, we talked about how some of our habits can improve our lives and get us closer to achieving our dreams. But others that have negative effects tend to just get in the way. In this video, we'll get into the details of how to nurture habits that make our lives easier and happier, starting with habits that can help us manage stress. Stress can make us feel anxious, angry, and sad, and sometimes all of those emotions at the same time. We don't always realize it, but these emotional states make it difficult to focus on assignments at school or work, think clearly about decisions, or communicate in a kind, clear way. Stress also affects our physical health. In the short term, we may have problems like stomach aches, headaches, and trouble sleeping. In the future, we may have a lower resistance to illness, feel overwhelmed by life, or feel like we need alcohol or drugs to get by. The truth is that we can't avoid every stressful situation, but we can look out for our future selves if we learn how to crush habits that make stress worse. Let's look at one example of how it can be done. Sophia gets stressed about babysitting her little brother Diego every day after school. She feels like taking care of Diego doesn't leave enough time for her own life. She has to help him with his homework, keep him entertained so he doesn't get into mischief, and make him dinner. You can't blame Sophia for being unhappy about babysitting, but she has a habit that makes her more stressed out, complaining about it. Every day the habit starts when Sophia is leaving school in a rush and she sees her good friend, Nicole. She only has a couple of minutes to socialize before she has to get Diego at his school. Sophia blurts out a string of complaints, like how she has no time to hang out with friends, how she can't get started on her homework until late at night, and how unfair it is that she doesn't even get paid for babysitting. When Sophia complains, she feels better for a moment, just because she's able to connect with Nicole. But sharing every bad thing about the situation doesn't make it go away, and dwelling on it actually makes Sophia more stressed out in the long run. It's difficult for her to relax and focus even when she's not babysitting, but she can crush the complaining habit. We get better at crushing the habits we don't want to have and creating the ones we do when we understand how a process called the habit loop trains our brains to do the same thing over and over again. A habit loop starts with a cue, which can be anything that reminds us of doing the habit, like a certain feeling, which could be emotional or physical, a time of day, a place, people you're with, what you did just before, or some combination of those things. With Sophia's habit of complaining, there are three main cues: a feeling, which is stress, a certain time, 3 o'clock, when she's leaving school, and the person she's with, her friend Nicole. The cues prompt the behavior of the habit. Sophia's behavior is complaining to Nicole about babysitting. A behavior becomes a habit because it provides some sense of satisfaction. Complaining gives Sophia the satisfaction of connecting with a friend before she has to spend hours alone with her little brother. However, we can recognize that we need to improve the habit when the sense of satisfaction is followed by negative side effects. When Sophia complains about babysitting, she gets into a bad mood. She feels tense in her shoulders, and she realizes she annoys Nicole. Sophia doesn't like any of that, but when she's stressed out, it's as if she complains automatically. Simply being aware of the cues that prompt the behavior can help Sophia stop herself from complaining. But here's a strategy that will make it more likely she'll crush the habit for good. Sophia can let the same cues prompt a better behavior, taking a breath and asking Nicole what was good about her day. Sophia still gets the satisfaction of connecting with her friend Nicole, but talking about the good things that happened that day won't make Sophia stressed out or tense, or annoy Nicole. Sophia can also use the habit loop to nurture a habit that prevents her from getting stressed. She saw on the news that mindful breathing helps people reduce stress, so she wants to create the habit of doing mindful breathing exercises every weekday. She downloaded an app that has recorded exercises and tried to do them between dinner and homework. But she was dozing off because she was too full, so she hasn't kept up with it. But she can make sure it gets into her daily routine if she plans it out with the habit loop. Sophia can move her mindful breathing habit to the morning, when she's usually not as sleepy, and use the cue of what she did just before, which will be catching the city bus she takes to school every weekday. Catching the bus will prompt Sophia to do the behavior she chose, a mindful breathing exercise. And then doing mindful breathing exercises will have the satisfaction of preventing Sophia from feeling stressed. Oh, and let's keep this in mind. When it's tough to get a habit started, sometimes a small reward motivates us to stick to it. So, whenever Sophia has a full week of breathing exercises, she can treat herself to a breakfast sandwich instead of having her usual granola bar. Okay, so it's a good time for another pep talk. Remember, stress can harm our emotional state and physical health over time. So look out for your future self. Use the habit loop to crush habits that make stress worse, and also nurture habits that prevent stress. The habit loop can help us in other important areas of our lives. So, in the next video, we'll see how we can use it to improve our physical health.